Hello everybody, Всем привет. Today we're going to work on debugging some features of map decoding. It's been a little while since I looked at the map because maps like Claw were actually working pretty well. Um, we still have problems with things like Dragon Rider, where you start the game. Okay, 101, 495 shows us the map. And in this case, all the heroes are being labeled as green. Uh, if they even have anything. You notice that none of the heroes are assigned. We're also missing the castle. The castle's not even being displayed. So some of these maps are still not quite being interpreted correctly. Now, we don't have that problem on Claw. On Claw, everything is fine. 101, 495, we see the map, we see the different heroes are assigned correctly. So that's an original DOS map. I do want to show you quickly what happens in the original game with a couple of these maps. So we can compare and just kind of understand what the problem is. So we'll go to Dragon Rider, for example. This is the original DOS 1.2 game. Notice that we do have Castor. We can see what his deal is, but we can't see where he is. So in order to play this community map in the DOS 1.2 version, you have to cheat and use the 101495 code to reveal the entire map. Then you can play the rest of the map. Now these characters were each assigned a different color. In the current version of the game that I have, they're decoding incorrectly to the green player. So that's just one map that's a little funny. I just want to show you there's a couple of other maps that start out with a little more, well, that you just start out with more castles or more heroes or things like that. So Knight's Quest, for example, you start out as Lord Kilburn, and you've got a random castle and 3 random towns that you're assigned throughout the land or whatever. And then there's also another one. It's a Windows 95 map that is Empires at War, I think. This one. And you start out with 2 heroes. You've got Agar, that's how you pronounce that, and Croto. And you've got 2 Warlock castles and 2 Warlock towns that you start out with. So you can see on the kingdom summary, you start out with some things. Now let's just have a quick look at what my current version before the fixes and before all the work I did. So we just looked at Dragon Rider a second ago. Let's look at Empires at War here and see what comes up. We get some blank heroes and 1 castle, and a bunch of stuff is highlighted as neutral. So this is just weird. That's not decoding the players correctly. That's doing something funny, probably based on castle slots, because there's a lot of different castles here. So that's just weird and wrong. And let's have another look at Knight's Quest and see what's going on there. So Knight's Quest, we have a knight. Yeah, so we even did a hero exchange between 2 heroes that are not on the same team. The castle does sort of work, but yeah, there's just some weird stuff going on. So these are like null heroes. Oh, and we have a Sir Gallant here. That's kind of cool. He's got the stuff. In my version of the game, I add a couple of these creatures just for testing for right now. So anyway, Sir Gallant is being created and has some creatures there. I guess he's generated in the castle in addition to the other 4 heroes. So this is just weird. So it's obviously not correct, and that's kind of the starting point for my next batch of coding analysis here. So first of all, I think we actually saw it in the version of, actually we saw it in Dragon Rider. If I load up Dragon Rider here and do the cheat code, we actually saw this behavior. 101.495. Let's have a look at our castle. You'll notice there's no castle, but the hitbox for the castle works. So somehow it's not detecting that there should be a castle here, or that's not the default state. So the castle's missing, there's no tent, but the hitbox for the castle works. So that's the first bug that I wanted to dig into. And I hit this too early, or I forgot to give it the map format documents or something. And so it digs in and it says, well, your DOS records actually have this type marker for the castles. Your map document said it was this. It's not the same in this map, which ONL 71234. I don't remember which map that is because the names are not really conveniently named here, but I do have some documentation that I can look it up in. So let's see what we got here in map format. All the way at the bottom, I think, is where we list the map names here. So ONL is land bridge. So that was another one that I was testing and gave me some issues. We pull up land bridge, we can also just see that really quick. So yeah, again, we don't have the castle, but we have the hitbox. So that's a DOS map that has this same problem. So we're working on that, and basically it just detects that the castle is never really picked up in some of these maps because I was decoding it in a way that like worked for Claw and worked for a few other maps, but not universally. So it wasn't fully correct. So, and apparently if the tent isn't set, then the rendering logic requires both to show the castle. I think that might be what was going on. So, basically we're looking at the outside image of this castle on the map document and saying, hey, is this a castle? If so, let's show the castle. So apply the fix, etc. And our strict parsing, where we're expecting these first 4 values in the castle record body, should be relaxed for DOS maps because sometimes they're all 4 zeros. So, so that's like a modification we make. Anyway, I drop in the claw map and whatever Windows 95A is, which is, I guess, Arabian Nights. I just drop in a Windows 95 map and say, hey, can you just check and verify that that is true for these maps? If so, let's update the map format MD, highlight this discovery, etc. So it does check it, and it's saying that this is actually stale. This is a stale rule. It's not correct. Section 1 is authoritative for the CS build castle state. And then we're removing this implication that not 00000001 identifies a hero record. Because after, for those of you who may not be aware, probably most of you, the way the map format works is you have actually I should just pull it up because I have the document here. We have in a very high level structure, we have some initial values of things like map difficulty, multilingual names, multilingual descriptions, many of which are not actually filled out, which is funny. So you've got this like fixed header of the document, And then there's a map width and a height, which are always 72 for these maps, no matter how big they are. Then there's a tile block, which is 10 bytes per tile of 72 by 72, which works out to be 51,840 bytes. That's the bulk of it. And then after that, we have a list of castles, which are up to 3 bytes of, well, there's 36 of them potentially. I think I've seen 22 in a map of these original maps. There's up to 22 castles in one level, and they're all on an island, so that's probably a really long map to play. And then mines and special, that includes the lighthouse and the dragon city. But otherwise, there's 48 potential mines, plus that includes the lighthouse and the dragon city as well, potentially there. And then we have another 1440, which is 72 by 72 single bytes, which are the sound effect tile overlay. And that controls the ambient sound effects. Like in the background right now, you hear a splashing of waves because you're close to the sea. And you hear a bit of a crackle from this campfire because you're near that. And after that, then you have this object record header, but then you have castle records and hero records. And I was basically explaining what happens in these situations. So this is where the bulk of what we're going to be working on is. And then in Windows 95 maps, we have this weird 4-byte tile region. I still don't know what this is, so eventually I guess we'll figure it out. I think it might be for the map editor, but I don't know. It's not really necessary to develop and play these maps in the game. And I probably need to update this because this is duplicated. Why don't we just do that? Save it. So anyway, I update that, and I also want to update map CPP with the changes. So we make some changes there. Now I want to go in and I want to fix the Dragon Rider map, which is DRRI1234. So let's go again, load this and see. Actually, why don't we load? I think we fixed that error. Let me just show you that last code did work to fix that error. So let's go to like Land Bridge, for example, and start that up. And see, now we have a castle showing up in Land Bridge. So that last map debug here, adding this check to see if there's a tent bit and a castle bit, and basically just doing our logic better, then we display the correct castle sprite in, well, a castle that's already built when we start the game. So now we're going to use this context, and we're going to look at the community map, the Windows 95 format. This is the Dragon Rider, which created by this guy, Jason Church. It won some map contest probably in like 95, and I think this map was actually included in Heroes 2. I know I've played it on Heroes 2. And anyway, I want to look at the hero records and see also that the castles are being assigned correctly, and the hero records are also assigned to the yellow player. They should be assigned to various players according to the hero record structures. Byte 8 value is also the hero index record -1 or something like that. And I want to fix this rendering such that the heroes can be placed on the map as an initial starting location. And so anyway, let's just go back into Dragon Rider. This is our version that has that fixed bug previously. So now we do have the castle showing up here, because if you remember, that wasn't showing up. But these are all assigned, all the heroes are being assigned to the same color player. In this case, it's blue. Previously, a few minutes ago when I showed this on the video, it was green. And when I guess I wrote this prompt, it was all yellow. So they're being kind of randomly assigned to one of the players. But but I would just want to fix that. So it starts digging through, it finds this C7 handler. So basically the byte 8 in these maps, these Windows 95 maps, when it's C7, that's telling you that it's a hero location. And then the byte 9 value is like an index or a lookup in this hero record at the end of the file. These hero records that happen here after the sound effect tile overlay and before whatever this last thing is in Windows 95. And the DOS maps just don't even have this. So the DOS maps just end in the castle and hero records. Like that's it. So and actually one of them, Knight's Quest, is actually a truncated ending. So it doesn't even have to wait for the ending Sentinel. It can just say end of file is also the end of the hero record. So anyway, it does some analysis here, tries to work on remapping things, and the player owner was reading from body 2 instead of body 3, and I don't remember. This was like a month ago when I was working on this last, so I must have gotten it off by 1, or the documentation, I don't know. I don't know if I should make an excuse or if it was just a mistake or how I was assigning things. I literally don't remember. So comes up with this plan. So it seems like it fixed it here, but let's just have a look. Let's look at the next one. I have this. I say there's one weird thing happening with the hero decoding. Well, let's just open this up and let's see what that is, because it should be visible. So Dragon Rider, and okay, this looks good. We started it opened correctly. This is our same cat. That's, you know, we're red. This is the same color. The castle is showing up there. Okay, that's good. Can we recruit a hero? Yep, we can recruit a hero. And he looks normal. But somehow we have 0 peasants in our army. And what happens if we go to a battle here? Okay, there's no peasants here, but so that's kind of weird. So there's this kind of strange peasant bug that it's probably like, instead of putting 0xFF, it's probably putting 0x00, quantity 0. And 0 is the code for peasants, and FF is code for like empty slot. So basically telling it, yeah, it should set these to empty slots. The garrison loading already has this exact logic for castle records, but the hero record parse is missing the same guard. So it decides to add that in, and let's have a look at what that build did here. Verify that this is working. Dragon Rider, okay. So now this looks good. We don't have the strange peasant thing. Battles showing up. And down here, these are all the correct alignments for those guys. 101, 495. These castles are all flagged correctly, so everything looks good for decoding Dragon Rider. So I think we've fixed the issue with the original community maps. But why don't we have a quick look at, I don't know, let's check out Land Bridge first of all. Let's make sure that looks okay. That does look okay, so I'm happy to see that. Let's have a look at Knight's Quest and see what's going on there. Knight's Quest. Okay, we still don't, so we're supposed to have 1 random castle, 3 random towns, and some different heroes, and instead we're getting a randomly generated hero in the castle. We have another hero that's also generated on the castle tile. So there's something weird that's happening here. That's just not correct. And then I think the other one was Empires at War. Let's see, there it is, Empires at War. And okay, now we have an extra. We are seeing the two extra heroes, so they are now showing up. These are who is supposed to be here, but this, I don't know what's going on here. This isn't even our castle. These are neutral castles that are unassigned. I mean, that's, and this is just weird. So there's still something wrong with hero records and castle records. And one of those, Knight's Quest, is a DOS map, and Empires at War is a Windows 95 map. So this problem is kind of in our whole parsing logic for both Windows 95 and DOS. So anyway, I update my notes on map format again. And basically, again, this the C0xC7 is the byte 8 that shows that, hey, there's a hero placed here, and that links to this hero record. Now, somehow my hero records, like that, we should understand that. Why are these other maps like Knight's Quest and why is Empires at War, why are those not working? Well, probably the hero records numbering is off. Like some castle records are being read as hero records, or hero records are being read as castle records, or something funny is going on. So there's something strange with how the records are being read and figured out. And it works on some maps, but there's something that's breaking it in these two particular maps. And it could also be that most maps, you just start with one player, one castle. In these maps, you're starting with multiple castles and multiple heroes. I said one player, I meant heroes. So in this one, you start with multiple heroes. Well, actually, one of them you start with multiple heroes and multiple castles and towns. And the other one, you start with one hero and multiple castles and towns. So actually one castle and 3 towns in Knight's Quest. So these are the two maps. I give it the two maps. So Windows 95E is Empires at War, and NHL 51000 is Knight's Quest. And so I give it those maps. I explain what we're trying to see. So we've got one player assigned. It is Lord Kilburn, 1 knight's castle and 3 towns. Then in Empires at War, we're assigned Agar and Croto, and we get 2 warlock castles and 2 warlock towns. So I'm trying to give the AI some coaxing and say, hey, this is who is actually supposed to be assigned. Let's look at like the player assignments and see if we can figure out, see if we can reverse engineer who owns what when we're starting out this level. And yeah, and then I also threw in that it can cross-check with Claw, which also has this 1000 castle assignment, which I've previously determined that these are basically one-player maps. You can't really play these maps multiplayer. Claw is easy, and you have a very strong advantage in your lower portion of the map, where you're not really fighting others for resources. Let's see here. So it does a lot of analysis. This took a while. And neutral is 255 in body 4. So whatever the castle record is, body 4 is the actual index of who owns what, supposedly. Or at least that's what the AI thinks. So this is what Empires at War did. It gave us these 4 castles, but still added this one. And we still have this weird blank hero thing going on. So it's something. But it made a major mistake. So the neutral towns can be assigned to a player, but might not be assigned to anyone. In some of the maps, now all towns are being assigned to the player. That's not correct. Heroes and Empires at War, somehow the blue castle is being assigned to the player 1 along with an empty hero structure. I tested with the regular game, and that castle is assigned to the same player as the castle's in that region, and the hero Vatana is placed in that castle to start with lots of sprites in her army. Knight's Quest, the heroes are being generated twice. And I threw in the Jolly Roger map here as well to just throw in another map to let it reference it. So it does some more analysis. And this player number of 0 is always human is not correct, as we quickly learn from Jolly Roger. It starts to figure out something here, that the valid section 1 slots are a human slot and a human slot's castle record. If it has the 0001 marker, then that means it can be a human player. So if it's human CR 0, so if this is a 0, then it's computers 1, 2, and 3. All structures with a known CR PNUM get the mapped runtime player. So that must be the hero in the hero record. And if no meaningful value is found in that, then it's just slot-based assignment. Okay. So I'm reading this and I don't really remember what this means. So I did this with the map, and I think I stopped at this point because it was starting to go a little bit off the rails. And then I went and I restarted the session here. So I threw in all of these maps, plus one of the multiplayer maps. I think this might be Archipelago, is what BEM is, probably. And I'm explaining again what happens here. We've got Knight's Quest, Empires at War, Claw, and I threw in the 0234 multiplayer map where players can be assigned any of the 4 locations. So it's doing another attempt at reading this because my last one didn't make so much sense. Then it starts to get a better read here. So it does find Lord Kilburn. It does find these other heroes, and it determines that the body 4 is the castle record, and hero record body 3 is the encoding for the player. So now we're getting somewhere, because if the heroes were decoded as a castle record, it reads the wrong byte to say who owns what. And so that's why we were getting this behavior where all of the heroes were owned by the same player, because they were all, whichever player was player 0 was getting all of these, because probably body 4 is 0 on most of those maps, but not all of them, but most of them. So now we're seeing, we're seeing something consistent. So this is promising here. And then it's also noticing that segment 30, Lord Kilburn. So he's the last, he's the last record in all the records that are included in Knight's Quest map. And he doesn't have an ending sentinel. It just ends at the end of the file. So Knight's Quest is the smallest map in the game. And anything with a map editor would be larger. So Knight's Quest is universally the smallest map in this game. And so our parser also needs to handle this end of file segment here. That's something that needs to be updated as well. And then it also does the similar processing here for Empires of War, and determines, Agar and Croto, which castles are theirs. So and basically it figures out all of this. And then there's one neutral castle, apparently. Maybe. I'm not sure if there is one or not, but this is mapping correctly. I had a previous hypothesis that 0001 is human and 0000 is computer, and that's not true. So we don't really know what that is yet. I think we'll figure it out by the end of this, but we don't know yet. So both maps get the player assignments right, regardless of which tile type the castle uses, because castle tile entrances can be A8, C0, or C1. And so C0 and C1 look like the older DOS map editor tiles, and Windows 95 uses 0xA8 for everything. So we're going to treat them identically for loading purposes. So this is one hero in the castle and 3 separate heroes here for the knight. Let's see if we can update map CPP to make sure they're decoding according to the spec. The game doesn't process these 2 maps according to the spec currently. Can you double check that map CPP is decoding the castle and hero assignments correctly? As you notice, I did this reverse engineering thing up here, and even though I did give it my code for map H and map CPP and game main, I didn't get any file outputs. It just said, hey, here's the thing, and we tested it, and great, but no files. So so I give it this screenshot of like what it's supposed to look like, what the output for Knight's Quest, and I say, hey, why don't you update our map CPP file and make sure it's decoding the way that we want it to. So goes through, makes some updates. The DOS hero records were never parsed, I guess, correctly, because there was a Windows 95 guard that was preventing some of them from being parsed correctly. And then Windows 95 castle ownership used the file name slot system. So we were using the wrong logic to assign castles a little bit. DOS path didn't change, but Windows 95 had to change a little bit. And then the random hero generation was running even when pre-placed heroes existed. So if Windows 95 go to skip castle heroes in DOS, so basically like Knight's Quest was breaking that because it was one of the DOS maps that has pre-assigned heroes. And so we weren't assigning heroes, or we were assigning random hero because we were skipping that in the DOS map. So it was just kind of sloppy that it wasn't working. But we still have an issue with Empires at War, where we have this weird blank hero and we have this weird blank castle that should be assigned to Vatana. And then this is, I guess this is probably Knight's Quest still, and so something weird is happening. So even though we've kind of cracked the code as to what needs to be done, getting that implemented in the map files is where we're running into some trouble here. So the 2 heroes are being assigned correctly, but there's some other empty hero being assigned to. That's possibly the randomly generated hero for the yellow castle. You're not correct about the assignment for Windows 95 hero and castle, and this logic needs to be improved. Knight's Quest Kilburn does not show up. The towns are not properly assigned to the player. The opposing heroes are showing up in the correct location. So these opposing heroes are showing up correctly. Your decoding of both the Windows 95 and DOS map formats need improvement. Claw and Dragon Rider are both still working okay, so whatever was changed didn't affect those maps. Please try again and see if you can decode the DOS and Windows 95 maps with multiple castles and heroes better from the hero records and the map data. So does another analysis, finds a couple of bugs. Town ownership, castle record player number applies to towns too. So we need to apply owner assignment for towns using the same player number logic as castles. There's also this neutral garrison logic. Owned towns should not get a garrison, but the current code gives a garrison for everything with owner equals -1. That's just kind of weird. It's going off on some weird garrison thing. But it fixes this EOF undetermined final segment drop for Kilburn, so he should probably show up because it was just silently dropping the last entry for Lord Kilburn, so he wasn't rendering. So that doesn't even mean we weren't decoding them properly. We I mean, we weren't, but because we were dropping the actual last record, which was still a valid record, but wasn't terminated properly. It was terminated by the end of the file instead of the regular record terminator. And then the town ownership from the castle records was ignored. So a lot of them should be neutral. Let's see what happens. Well, that isn't quite what happened, because now all of the towns in Dragon Rider got assigned to us. I guess there's only, well, not all the towns actually. Just several of the towns got assigned to us, because there's actually a town like right here that you go and capture. So it seems like the Windows 95 and DOS formats are working, but the Windows 95 custom community map broke it unless you made an error in the town assignment logic. Let's see if we can see what it says here, if there's anything. Well, okay, so there's like a 0 padded empty record is neutral, and a 0001 is a real record, player field valid. So that those first 4 bytes were then saying that these various castles are owned in Empires at War, which seems right. Yep, and it looks like it fixed the neutral castles in Dragon Rider as well. So let's see if that worked. And then, yeah, I guess it did pass all the tests. Tell the AI it did a good job, because I'm nice to the AI sometimes. And let's just pull one of these up and have a look at some of these levels. So Dragon Rider, let's have a quick look. Yep, that's correct. And we have our own castle. We see those other guys. No weird bugs there. So that's looking good. Let's see which build this is, because this one says bug empires and knights. So this might have been the previous build that we were looking at. So let's see what we've got for Empires at War. Yeah, this is the previous build that I showed the picture of, where we're getting this yellow castle and this this blank hero. So that's the version that we had that bug with. Let's see. I guess we're just going to go through the bugs here. So this, I think, has a bug with Dragon Rider. This was the one where we had all of, yeah, see, we have all of these towns assigned. But what's weird is that this castle's the correct one for us. There's all these other structures. But then if we do 101 and 495, there's actually also a town here that is actually somehow remaining neutral. So whatever weird decoding we were doing, this somehow managed to stay neutral. So good for that town, I guess. But that was the bug that I had previously described, and then I think we fixed here. There is another one that says second town ownership bug. So let's see what this build has here. See if we go into Dragon Rider and see if that's still there. No, that seems all right. So maybe we'll check Knight's Quest and see if Knight's Quest looks okay. How's Knight's Quest? Knight's Quest looks correct, actually. So yeah, I don't see a problem with Knight's Quest. Maybe there's something wrong with Empires at War. Nope, this one looks okay too. So I don't remember what the bug was with this, but we fixed that. And this is the one where I decided it was correct. So maybe I can look at the file times on these maybe and see if there's any difference. Yeah, there is. So I don't know. There was something buggy about the last one that I'm not seeing right now, but we do have it fixed. So that's cool, I guess, right? Let's just have another quick look at Dragon Rider. So this is decoding correctly. We can now play Dragon Rider correctly. This is something that kind of inspired this whole project, was the fact that when you start the game in the DOS version, the communities map, which should be valid, it doesn't work. It doesn't decode correctly. So there's a bug where the Windows 95 map editor is not exporting this correctly in a way that will work. So, yeah, anyway, that is where that's going. And that passes all my tests. Let's please update the map format and map loading. Let's clean the stale comments, etc. The truncated record of the Lord Kilburn hero in Knight's Quest is a good candidate for its own little exception paragraph using EOF instead of the end of hero record sentinel. So great, it does that. It makes those notes. And then, oh, the towns should all be neutral, but they're being assigned to a player. So actually that was the bug. Let's have a quick look at that and see. So I thought I was done, but then I tested yet another map, Land Bridge. So let's have a quick look at our friend Land Bridge. And this was the build that was labeled as buggy. Ah, see, this was the bug, yeah. So we wouldn't have seen this necessarily. But all the other towns are populated by some hero, which is not how the actual land bridge works. See, the yellow player does not have that strong of an advantage when they start. So that was the bug, and let's actually see. There's a liveness check to the DOS second pass that Windows 95 already uses, so whatever it was, the map editor never wrote real ownership data to any record. Every single segment, castles included, is fully zero padded. One additional guard is just checked. So the same thing we did to Windows 95. We also had to do that for towns, I guess. So now we update this, update these formats, and then it was fixed. So now let's just look at at this build here and check it out. And let's look at Land Bridge and see, hey, is this working? So 101, 495, and yeah, now you see all of these towns are correctly assigned neutral values. We just have red, green, and blue is up there. So Land Bridge is decoding correctly. Yeah, it was weird. I definitely leaned on the AI for this one, but just kept giving it the correct specification and testing it and giving it feedback. And it did get us to the final correct decoding. So I am pretty happy with how that's decoding now. It was something that was bugging me, especially that Dragon Rider wasn't fully decoding correctly, because that was one of the reasons I started building this whole project.